Rough river conditions are making it hard for the U.S. Coast Guard to clean up a mess of barges that broke loose after hitting the 2nd Street Bridge on Christmas. And it could get worse. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Kogan. 9 barges are still in their water. They're stuck on the dam near the Falls of the Ohio. 4 of those have sunk, spilling tons of coal into the water. Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell is live in Clarksville with more on what he found out today on fixing the problem, and this is not easy.
Yeah, Coast Guard officials say they assessed as much as they could out here today, but tomorrow is when they plan for some of these barges that are still floating. They plan to move them away. It's a race against the clock.
Time is of the essence. It always is.
Just within the last hour and a half, a 4th one has sunk.
An additional barge Friday spilling up to 1,800 tons of coal into the river.
Rock coal going into the river is primarily going to disrupt habitat on the bottom of the river.
The Lower Ohio River waterkeeper says he's concerned about the impacts to the Falls of the Ohio State Park, but says this is just part of the river's pollution problem, and the coal may not be the biggest issue lurking underwater.
The pool could draw down if we get low enough water conditions.
Officials say a sunken barge is trapped inside the dam's gate, making it so it can't shut and so that the Army Corps of Engineers don't have complete control of water levels.
A variety of detrimental things that happen if this pool goes dry.
Among things affected, power plants that rely on the river as a coolant and commerce moving through the busy port. So the Coast Guard says it's working quickly but safely on treacherous waters.
You know, there's always a danger involved with this.
And among those facing that is Sarah Schneider's husband, who's in the Coast Guard.
This is the best way for us to go see him right now, is to come out and wave to him.
She says he had planned to spend the week off with the family, but he was called to serve, and with a shutdown, isn't even getting paid.
They are the only military branch right now affected by everything going on with the government, so this is kind of ironic because they're working their tail off. And as of Friday, officials were still reluctant to say just how long this may take to clean up. Now, the Tennessee Valley Towing Company, that's who officials say is responsible for the barges. I reached out to them for comment today, but I've yet to hear back. Live in Clarksville, Mike Fussell, Wave 3 News.
And tonight, we're learning the ship that crashed into the 2nd Street Bridge last week has lost control in the Ohio River before. Coast Guard reports show that was in a less busy part of the river, but that was not the case when the Christmas collision caused 15 barges to break loose from the Debbie Graham. Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell has more on why the river conditions are making things harder for the Coast Guard now in harm's way. And we're also learning about the boat's history.
River conditions have changed. If you take a look here, this was earlier in the week. This is today. The water's much lower here. You can see a lot of the barges up on the dam there. And the danger here for the Coast Guard, they say that's caused them to change strategies. Now, they're not towing barges away, but they'll possibly be bringing in a crane to pull some of them out. This video shows the moment the towboat, the Debbie Graham, seemed to lose control, pushing 15 barges, drifting to one side, and then
it hits the bridge dead sideways.
U.S. Coast Guard reports show something similar happened to the same ship just downriver in April. Incident investigation reports show the Debbie Graham, owned by the Tennessee Valley Towing Company, who's yet to respond to our messages, was carrying 12 barges then when a steering device broke by 12 Mile Island. That's where the boat's captain lost control before the rudder stuck to the starboard side. A towing vessel arrived in time to moor it to make repairs. Tuesday was a different story. A drift, then impact, caused 15 barges to break loose, 9 ending up on the McAlpin Dam.
It's something else. I mean, like I said, I've been coming down here since I was a little kid and never seen anything like this.
Each of these barges carrying around 1,800 tons of coal. So far, 6 of the 9 original have capsized, spilling coal into the water.
Loaded like they are is just really amazing to see it.
The Coast Guard says one is still stuck in the gate of the dam, and the Army Corps of Engineers says that's making it so they don't have control of water levels on the river, which could be a big problem for things like commerce and power plants.
Let's hope it doesn't have any permanent impacts.
While the Coast Guard is urging people not to get too close because the conditions are dangerous. And now they're forced to work in them to figure out why the Debbie Graham drifted off course this time. Those watching know one thing is for sure.
It'll be a mess for a while.
Asked about the ship losing control in April, Coast Guard officials say every incident is investigated separately, and once investigations are complete, enforcement is considered. In the studio, Mike Fussell, Wave 3 News.
Today, we caught a first glimpse of what it is going to take to clean up the mess of barges marooned on the McAlpin Dam right by the Falls of the Ohio. Those barges broke free from a towboat after hitting the 2nd Street Bridge more than a week ago. Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell is live at the Falls of the Ohio. And Mike, what is the timeline for a fix here?
Well, the Army Corps of Engineers say they expect a plan to be filed. That would be from the salvager by the end of the week here, but they also add that they don't know exactly when that work would begin just yet. 7 of 9 barges now sunk, one still stuck in the dam's gate, making it so the Army Corps of Engineers can't completely control the water level.
It makes you think how powerful water can be.
But just downriver, help has arrived.
They are assessing that this morning and starting to develop a plan as to how to get those barges out.
A salvage team hired by the responsible party, Tennessee Valley Towing, has brought in equipment, which is situated near the McAlpin locks right now. They will use 2 A-frame cranes, a barge crane, and a towboat to pull the barges from the dam. A job that's becoming more difficult as barges continue to sink. Now, they can't just be towed away.
Part of the reason why that wasn't able to be done was, again, our first priority is the life and safety of the people doing the work.
And Cletus Graff was among those at the Falls of the Ohio State Park checking out the latest.
So we come down and just take a look at what the damage is.
Park officials say they have noticed more people visiting, but that's about the only impact they've seen just yet. They say they were worried at first.
We want to make sure we're doing what we can to protect it, obviously. But, you know, so there is that initial concern.
Officials say if conditions remain the same, there would only be minimal impacts, if any, to their park.
If we were to have coal deposits on the fossil beds, we would clear some of those areas too.
That just to remove debris like they'd have to do with things like garbage floating by. So for now, those at the park say they're doing okay, as plans to clean up are underway. The Kentucky EPA says that drinking water is not harmed by this. Everything is safe in regards to that. They also add that as these barges sink out here, a lot of the coal is staying in them. So that's a positive thing right now, but they say they'll reassess that when the barges are lifted. Live in Clarksville, Mike Fussell.
This is the Debbie Graham boat hitting the 2nd Street Bridge on Christmas. Moments later, 15 of its coal barges break loose, some of them getting stuck on the McAlpin Dam. New tonight, we've now learned that the Coast Guard was already investigating an incident involving that same boat. We reported that this boat also lost control on the Ohio last April when its steering did not work. Now, Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell found out there is another Coast Guard investigation into it. And when did that incident occur?
Well, that started last November. That's about a month before the crash happened. It was still open when the boat did hit the 2nd Street Bridge, but we're also getting another look at the incident as a whole by looking at it through a different lens. 2 barges remain in the water, one still stuck in the gate of the dam, but not affecting pool levels yet. That's according to the Army Corps of Engineers, who say work will stop later this week for Thunder over Louisville. Now, Louisville company Genscape has developed a high-tech way of looking at the incident with this simulation.
Then the WJ Bear comes up, then clearly the rudder has issues, tries to help it out, the Bear does, and then it loses total control.
That was caught on camera, but this new viewpoint might provide some answers.
We acquired a vessel tracker, which we thought would be a perfect fit for our company. So we track basically commodities. All the ships that are showing up that are not highlighted, that's all picked up by terrestrial-based antennas.
Wave 3 News wanted to see if anything similar happened leading up to the crash. So we asked to see the Debbie Graham tracked the day before. This is the only possibly unusual track we saw. You can see it twisting and turning. Here at Shawnee Park, right on the water here, is where that data was captured. Those at Genscape didn't want to speculate as to what it could mean. Experts say it could be distressful or normal. But Wave 3 News also learned the Debbie Graham was in another incident before it hit the bridge on November 19th. The Coast Guard report details that the boat was involved in a grounding that created around $500,000 of damage, but report summaries are still under review. It's not clear exactly what part the ship played in that November incident. We have reached out to Tennessee Valley Towing, the company that owns the Debbie Graham, but we have yet to hear back from them. Live in Louisville, Mike Fussell, Wave.